I walked a dealer's backlot last Tuesday, the row nobody photographs for the website, and there it was. A big glossy cruiser, close to 40 feet, teak and holly sole. The kind of boat that stickered somewhere near 80 grand when it was new a few years back. Now it's sitting on stands with a sun-faded for sale tag zip-tied to the bow rail, corners curling up like an old receipt. I asked the salesman what he'd give a man who wanted to trade it towards something newer. He laughed. Not a cruel laugh, a tired one. He said he wouldn't take it on trade at any number, and he's got two more just like it out back he can't move either. You might own one of these right now. You might be looking at it in your slip thinking it's your retirement sitting there on the water. The nest egg you'll cash out when the time comes. I've got to be straight with you. It isn't. It hasn't been for a while. And here's the part that stings. This isn't bad luck, and it isn't one bad boat. It's a pattern. Fuel crept past $5 a gallon at the marina pump. Slip fees climbed every single season. The drives and the systems on these older hulls started costing more to keep alive than the boat is worth in the water. All of that quietly gutted the resale while the owners were out enjoying summers and nobody was watching the number. So stay with me, because I'm going to walk you through 15 boats and boat types whose value has just fallen off a cliff, the ones dealers are practically begging you to haul away. And on more than a few of them, I'll tell you exactly who should still buy one, because a collapsed price and a bad boat are not the same thing. Now, before we get into it, one thing, straight from me. This is general information from one working marine surveyor, not a professional survey or financial advice. Always have a boat independently surveyed before you buy. I inspect boats for a living. Buyers hire me to crawl through a hull and find what's wrong before the money changes hands, and I've done it on hundreds of these. That's where this comes from. Not a brochure, not a hunch. What I actually see moving through the yards. I'm Sam Holloway. Let's start with the boat from that back lot. The Big Gas Express Cruiser, roughly 35 to 45 feet, twin gas engines. Think older Sea Ray Sundancers, big bayliners, Cruisers Incorporated, that whole class. And I want to be fair to them first, because they are genuinely lovely boats. Comfortable, fast, a real cabin you can sleep 4 in. If you've got a covered slip and the money to run one, and you actually use it 30 weekends a year, one of these is a beautiful way to spend a summer. That's real. But here's what happened to the price. A 40-footer with twin gas engines burns something like 20 to 35 gallons an hour at cruise. At $5 fuel, a single Saturday can run you well over $100 just to move the thing before you've bought a sandwich. Add a slip, insurance, and haul out, and a 35-foot cruiser can push past $3,000 a month all in. Buyers ran the math and walked. So the trade-in value cratered to near nothing, and the dealer won't take it. Verdict? As a boat to enjoy, if you can afford the burn, fine. As an investment, or as something you plan to sell later, walk away. Right beside it, number 2, the Big Gas Aft Cabin and Motor Yacht Style Cruiser, call it 38 to 45 feet. The 2-stateroom liveaboard look with the raised bridge. Older carvers, older big bayliners, that flavor. Same disease, worse symptoms. These are heavier, so they burn even more, and they've got double the systems to fail. 2 heads, a genset, air conditioning, a water heater, all of it 15 or 20 years old now. I surveyed one this spring where the owner had a beautiful boat and a repair list longer than the deck. The honest truth is the market for a 20-year-old gas motor yacht has just about evaporated, because the fuel and the upkeep frighten off exactly the retiree who'd want the space. Who's it still right for? A handyman who wants a cheap floating cabin and never plans to move it far. For anybody buying it as an appreciating asset, it's a money pit with curtains. Number 3 brings us to the drives, and this is where a lot of good folks get caught. The older sterndrive bowrider. A sterndrive, that's the inboard outboard setup where the engine sits inside the boat and the drive leg hangs off the transom, the back wall of the hull. 20-foot family bowriders from the 2000s. Mer Cruiser Alpha and Bravo drives. Volvo Penta. And look, for a calm lake, weekend tubing with the grandkids, one of these at the right price is plenty of boat. I mean that. But there's a part in there called the bellows, a rubber boot that seals the drive to the hull, and it rots on a schedule. Replacing bellows and gimbal parts runs a few hundred in parts and a few hundred in labor. Easy. And if you let it leak, you're into U-joints and gears, and it climbs fast. Meanwhile, the same size boat with an outboard hanging off the back holds its value noticeably better, because buyers know the outboard is simpler and cheaper to keep. So the sterndrive bowrider gets marked down hard. Fine to own cheap and maintain yourself. As resale, the outboard wins every time. Number 4 is that same drive problem in a bigger, more expensive package. The older sterndrive cruiser, 26 to 32 feet, single or twin eye. Oh, everything I just said, times 2 on a twin, and now the repair bills have real teeth. A drive service on a twin sterndrive setup can land anywhere from $2,000 to $3,500 once you're into it. Buyers today want outboards on the transom, and the whole used market has shifted under these boats. Here's my honesty beat, and I'll own it. I bought a twin sterndrive cruiser myself, years back. Told myself I'd keep on top of the maintenance. I did not fully appreciate what 2 aging drives cost to feed. I lost real money when I sold her. So I'm not lecturing you from a mountaintop. I've paid this tuition. Verdict: as an investment, avoid. As a cheap cruiser for a mechanically minded owner, only if you go in with both eyes open. Let me pause here on where value actually comes from, because a broker taught me this a long time ago. Deke Sullivan, an old yard hand and broker who'd been buying and selling boats since before I could drive. Deke used to tap the transom and say, "The market doesn't care what you paid, son. It cares what it costs the next fella to keep it floating." That line has never once let me down. Every boat on this list broke the same rule. The cost to keep it alive outran the joy of owning it, and the price collapsed to match. Number 5. Older jet boats. The gas jet drive runabouts. No propeller. A pump pushing water. Fun boats. Genuinely. And shallow water friendly. Fair is fair. But there's a wear item in the pump called the impeller and the wear ring, and they grind down, especially if you suck up any sand. Now, a plastic wear ring insert is cheap, around $35, so it's not the repair that kills these. It's the reputation and the fuel. They drink gas, older ones can be fussy, and the resale reflects it. They sit. Who's it for? A lake family who wants shallow water fun and will do their own pump service. As something that holds value, it doesn't. Price accordingly and don't expect a dime back. Number 6, and this one hurts people the most because they fall in love. Houseboats. The big old floating condo houseboats on the lakes. I understand the dream completely, but listen to the numbers. Houseboats drop something like 20 to 30% of their value in the first handful of years. And it doesn't stop there. What happens, over and over, is a couple buys one picturing lazy summers, and after a year or two of slip fees, insurance, and the endless upkeep of a house that floats, they're exhausted and they want out. So the used market is flooded with them, and they sell for a fraction of the ask. I'll give you the fair side. If you genuinely want to live on the water, love the maintenance, and are buying at the bottom of an already crashed price, a houseboat can be a home. As an investment, it's one of the fastest ways to watch money disappear on the water. Buy the lifestyle, never the resale. Now number 7, and I want every one of you to hear this before you ever click on a listing that says the magic word: free. The big old project sailboat, the freeboat trap. There is a whole world of 35 and 40-foot sailboats being given away right now, literally free. And here's the honest limit of what I can tell you. Nobody publishes clean resale data on these. Boats have no Carfax, no standardized book that's worth much on an old hull. But the pattern I see is brutal and consistent. Free is the most expensive word in boating. The yard bill, the rigging, the sails, the engine that's been sitting, the bottom job. You can pour 20 or 30,000 into a free boat and it's still worth about what you started with. 0. Who's the right buyer? A genuine, skilled restorer who wants a project for the love of it and knows going in the money is gone. For everybody else, free isn't a gift. It's a liability with a keel. Number 8. older boats chained to a carbureted two-stroke outboard. And I need to be precise here, because the internet gets this wrong constantly. Two-stroke outboards are not banned across America, but a number of cities and counties have put restrictions on carbureted two-strokes on certain drinking water reservoirs and in some state parks, so the water you can run one on has quietly shrunk. On top of that, modern ethanol fuel, the eaten at most pumps, is hard on old carburetors and fuel lines. The result at resale is plain in the numbers. A clean late-model 4-stroke 90 might bring $6,500, while a comparable older 2-stroke of the same horsepower struggles to bring $3,000. In fairness, a well-kept direct injection 2-stroke is a strong motor, and some folks swear by them. But an old carbureted one dragging a whole boat's value down with it? That's a hull you buy for a song, if at all, knowing the motor is the anchor around its neck. Number 9. The Orphaned. Boats from brands that shut their doors. Maxim, older Rinker, a handful of others that were everywhere 20 years ago and then vanished. The boats themselves are often perfectly sound, and I'll say plainly, some of them were well built for what they were. That's not the problem. The problem is when the builder's gone, parts come from eBay and salvage, and it gets hard to find a mechanic who knows the boat. A buyer today looks at an orphaned brand and sees a headache, so they discount it or skip it. The fair angle? If you're handy and you find a clean example cheap, an orphan boat can be a lot of hull for the money. But you are buying into a parts hunt, and the resale will always lag a boat whose maker is still standing behind it. Number 10. Older wood boats. The classic wooden runabouts and cruisers. Now, a museum-grade, fully restored classic is its own rarefied market and holds real value, and I don't want to lump those in. But the everyday old wood boat, the unrestored one that needs work, that market has largely dried up. Wood needs constant, skilled attention, the insurance is harder, and the pool of buyers who want that commitment gets smaller every year. So the plain old wooden project changes hands for very little. Who's it for? A craftsman with a heated shop and a love of the old ways. As an asset for a normal buyer who just wants to go boating on weekends, avoid it, the upkeep will own you. Number 11. High-hour ex-charter and ex-livery hulls. Boats that spent their life in a rental fleet or a charter operation. Here's the honest truth, a lot of sellers won't volunteer. A boat that got run hard by 100 different renters, day in and day out, has a lifetime of wear packed into a few short years. On a survey, that's the kind of boat where I'm reading the hour meter against the calendar, and the story doesn't add up nice. Now, fairness, a charter operation that maintained its fleet by the book can produce a decent used boat, and sometimes they're priced to move. But most buyers, once they hear ex-charter, walk, and the value reflects it. Buy one only if you can see real maintenance records and get it surveyed. Otherwise, you're buying somebody else's abuse. Number 12. The gas guzzler Go Fast. The older high-performance boats, the long, narrow offshore rockets, fountain, cigarette-type hulls, the ones with two big carbureted gas engines up front, and I get the appeal, I do. There's nothing like them on the water. But as a thing to own in a $5 fuel world, they're a money furnace. Twin big blocks can drink fuel by the barrel, insurance is steep, and the buyer pool for an aging one is tiny. So the price has fallen through the floor. In fairness, a pristine, sorted example still has a passionate following, and those hold up. But a tired, older Go Fast with high hours, dealers won't touch it, and I'd tell my own brother to walk. As an investment, it's about the worst on this list. Number 13. The big gas flybridge convertible and sedan cruiser. The 38 to 45-foot sportfish-style boat with the tuna tower and twin gas engines. When these were built with gas power instead of diesel, they became orphans of a different kind. The diesel version of the same boat holds value far better because it sips fuel and runs forever. The gas version burns like the cruisers we already talked about, and the market knows it. So a gas flybridge boat of a certain age sells for a fraction of its diesel sister. Who's it for? Somebody who wants a big fishing platform, will keep it on a mooring, and doesn't run far offshore. Everybody else, the gas engines are the reason the price fell, and they're the reason it'll stay down. Number 14. The older twin-gas motor yacht in the 40 to 45-foot range that isn't a live-aboard cabin boat, but a proper cruising yacht. Think an aging cruiser people bought to do the loop or run the coast. This is Barry Kessler's boat. Barry's a fella whose situation a client of mine walked through with me, a composite of 100 stories I've heard. Barry bought a big gas cabin cruiser near the top of the market, loved it, ran it a few seasons. Then his knees told him it was time, and he took it to the dealer to trade towards something smaller and simpler. The dealer offered him almost nothing, wouldn't really take it in at all. Barry couldn't believe the boat he'd babied was worth so little, but that's the whole story of this list in one man. The listing says must sell, loaded, immaculate. The market says nobody's buying a fuel-hungry gas yacht. Both things are true, and the market wins. As an investment, avoid. As a cheap live-aboard for someone who'll never move it, only if. Number 15, and this one ropes in a lot of boats at once. Older ski and wakeboard boats and bowriders caught in the squeeze between ethanol and fashion. The inboard and sterndrive towboats and family bowriders from 15, 20 years back. Two things happened to them. The ethanol fuel gnawed at the older fuel systems that weren't built for it, needing more filter changes and carb work as they age. And the style moved on. Buyers today want the newer surf systems and the outboard-powered crossovers. So the older towboat looks dated on the listing. Fair side, and I mean this. A clean, freshwater-only, well-kept older ski boat is a tremendous value for a family that just wants to pull kids around a lake. And you're getting a lot of fun for very little money. As something you'll sell for a profit, those days are gone. Buy it to use it up, not to cash it in. So there's your 15. Let me tie it together, because if you remember one thing, make it this. Not one of these boats collapsed because it was a lemon. They collapsed because the cost to keep them running, the fuel, the slip, the drives, the systems outran what a buyer today is willing to take on. Deke had it right at the transom. The market pays for what it costs to keep floating, not for what you paid. When you go shopping, don't fall for the sticker on the window or the story in the ad. Ask what it burns, ask what the drives cost, ask what the slip runs, and then have the whole boat independently surveyed before a dime changes hands. That's not me being cautious. That's me having crawled through too many bilges that look showroom perfect from the dock. And here's your teaser, because there's another side to this coin. Not every cheap boat is a trap. There's a whole class of honest little boats moving the other way, the ones that sip, fuel, cost next to nothing to keep, and quietly hold their value while the big cruisers bleed out. The gold mines everybody ignores. That's the next one I'm cutting into. So keep an eye out for it. If you've owned one of these, drop the brand and the year down in the comments. The old salts in here will tell you straight whether you did all right or got burned. And honestly, the crowd in this channel knows more than any price book. Buy smart, stay afloat. I'm Sam Holloway. I'll see you back at the dock.